How one incredible moment on the street revealed a black woman's hidden future with a billionaire. Kayla's heart raced as she navigated the chaotic emergency room. The fluorescent lights flickered overhead, and the air was thick with anxiety. She was nearing the end of her 12-hour shift, exhausted, yet adrenaline coursed through her veins like a lifeline. She caught a glimpse of the waiting area. A woman was struggling to catch her breath, gasping for air. Without a second thought, Kayla rushed over, her instincts taking charge. In a world where life often seemed grim, this situation was a call to action. "Stay with me," she urged, applying her training in a flurry of commands and gestures. Time blurred as she stabilized the woman, her hands steady, her focus razor-sharp. As the woman's breathing eased, Kayla caught a stranger's eye across the room. He stood out, a polished businessman amidst the chaos, witnessing her confrontation with life and death. They locked eyes for an instant, a spark ignited, and she felt a flicker of something beyond survival, a recognition of shared humanity, but that flicker was quickly snuffed by reality. Who was she to entertain such thoughts? At 34, a single mother juggling a demanding job, she was tethered to her children and the burden of rent due next week. With bills piling up and societal expectations pressing heavy on her shoulders, dreams of law school felt not just distant but ludicrous. Yet, as she pushed through, that brief moment of connection lingered. Did it mean something? Should it mean something? As days turned into weeks, Marcus became a constant in her life. Their conversations stretched into the early mornings over decaf coffee in her cramped apartment. They shared secrets, laughter, and something greater, layers of vulnerability that revealed dreams and disappointments. He urged her to apply for a prestigious scholarship, a vehicle to revive her legal aspirations. What if you could change lives, Kayla? What if you could be the voice for those who don't have one, he would say, his passion infectious. Each word was both empowering and paralyzing. Could she truly grasp the possibility of a better future? Yet, alongside the glimmer of hope was an ever-tightening grip of self-doubt. Her children came first. Would they understand her desire to leap into the unknown? Each moment spent contemplating a future beyond nursing felt like betrayal. Bills, rent, their needs anchored her, wrapping around her ambitions like chains. The weight of responsibility pressed down fiercely, blurring her dreams into mere shadows. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came the revelation, the truth about Marcus's wealth. Behind his charm and philanthropy was an heir to a billion-dollar empire. The fear bubbled up inside her, a swell of judgment and doubt. Suddenly, societal barriers loomed larger than before. Could she navigate this world with him, given their stark differences? As confusion wove its way through her thoughts, Kayla felt the dream of her future slip further out of reach. Ensnared by both possibilities and expectations, her internal war persisted, the clashing of heart and mind growing only more tumultuous with each passing day. What lay ahead seemed unbearably close yet endlessly out of reach. With her pulse quickening and her breaths shallow, Kayla faced a choice unlike any she had known, a turbulent path where love and ambition were intertwined, yet fraught with uncertainty. Would she risk it all or retreat to the confines of the life she fought so hard to maintain? The air around her thickened with tension, each moment stretching into an agonizing dilemma. As the stakes rose, Kayla stood at a crossroads, the future teetering precariously just beyond her grasp. Kayla stood in the cramped living room of her apartment, surrounded by the soft chaos of her children's toys strewn across the floor. Their laughter echoed like a soundtrack to her thoughts, a reminder of the sanctuary that held her tethered to reality. But as she gazed at their innocent faces, she felt the growing disconnect between the life she had accepted and the one she secretly yearned for. The clock on the wall ticked softly, each second a reminder of the limited choices before her. Could she truly leave the familiarity of nursing behind for the uncertainty of law school? The world felt alien, full of privilege and expectations that seemed to eclipse her aspirations. Even Marcus's encouragement felt like a weight on her shoulders, a draw towards something she didn't know if she could reach. Her phone buzzed, pulling her from spiraling thoughts. It was a message from Marcus, a gentle nudge inviting her for coffee that evening. The thought of seeing him sent a rush of warmth through her, yet it was immediately followed by a wave of doubt. What was she doing with someone who moved in circles so far removed from her own? In the quiet moments that followed, Kayla contemplated the impact of that earlier encounter. Marcus's world was shiny and polished, brimming with opportunities that had been out of reach for her entire life. Questions swirled relentlessly in her mind. Was she ready to share this space with him? Would he still see her the weary nurse, the single mother who fought for every moment of respite if he could glimpse the deeper ambitions she kept hidden? Later that evening, as she prepared for their meeting, Kayla paused in front of the mirror and took a deep breath. She needed to confront herself just as much as she was about to confront Marcus. She picked up the dusty old book about law she'd kept hidden away, its spine cracked with the weight of her dreams. It was time to explore the possibility of transforming those dreams into reality. When she arrived at the cafe, she spotted Marcus immediately. He was seated at their usual table, his laptop open, absorbed in work. As she approached, he looked up and smiled, his eyes sparkling with genuine warmth. Instantly, her apprehensions faded, replaced by a rush of comfort. What did her past matter in the face of this connection? They talked over coffee about mundane things and grand dreams. But it wasn't tea until Marcus leaned in, a glimmer in his eye, and reiterated his belief in her potential that something shifted within her. I don't just see a nurse, Kayla. I see a force of nature. You could change lives, you know that, right? His words flooded her with determination, but they also unveiled her greatest fear. For so long, she'd been conditioned to accept her role as caretaker, as the one who put others first. What if she chased this dream and failed? What would it mean for her children? Yet, as they continued to talk, she felt a gradual shift. Marcus's faith in her sparked a flicker of courage. Could her ambitions weave into the very fabric of who she was as a mother, rather than tearing her away from it? Perhaps to chase this path didn't mean abandoning her family, but enriching and setting an example for them. As she bid Marcus good night, the chill of doubt still clung to her, tempered now by a newfound sense of resolve. She stood at the precipice of change, a vision of her future awakening within her. Returning home, Kayla slipped under the covers. Underneath the blankets, her heart raced with both excitement and fear. What would it take to leap into this new world? Could she confront the obstacles that lay ahead, both external and internal? The question lingered in the silence of the room, echoing back to her. Was she prepared to embrace this journey, no matter how daunting or alien it seemed? The time had come to face the uncharted terrain of her ambitions, and as she drifted to sleep, so too did she drift into the quiet hope that her hidden future was not just a dream, but a potential reality waiting for her to claim it. Kayla awoke the next morning, sunlight slicing through the curtains like a spotlight on her dreams. The room felt different, the familiar clutter of her children's toys now pulsed with possibility rather than stagnation. Her heart raced, the tension within her transformed life into something almost tangible, a thread reaching out to the future she had only dared to imagine. As she made breakfast, her mind was filled with Marcus's words from the previous night. A force of nature. The phrase echoed like a mantra, igniting a flicker of ambition. It was strange yet exhilarating to think of herself in that light. She pondered the years spent thriving in routine, managing emergencies as a nurse, yet feeling unworthy of claiming her own ambitions. "Mommy, can I have pancakes?" her youngest called, pulling her back to the present. Kayla served the breakfast with a smile, hiding the turmoil brewing under the surface. Juggling her roles as a mother and an aspiring law student would not be easy, but the thought of instilling resilience and ambition in her children made the challenge worth considering. After breakfast, she chose to take a short walk before her shift. She needed something to ground her, some clarity amidst her swirling emotions. As she stepped outside, the neighborhood buzzed with life. The chatter of neighbors, the distant sounds of laughter, and the aroma of fresh coffee wafting from a nearby cafe invigorated her spirit. Each step became a small affirmation of her new path. With each stride, she envisioned herself in law school, poring over case studies, engaging in lively debates, her children watching her with pride. But could she balance this ambition with motherhood? Could she package her nurturing instincts into a legal framework, advocating for those who felt voiceless? Lost in thought, she nearly bumped into an older man on the sidewalk. He was gruff-looking yet had kind eyes, a wrinkled smile breaking through his weathered face. "Watch where you're going, huh?" He chuckled, then paused, studying her. "You seem like someone who's got somewhere important to be." Startled by the comment, Kayla hesitated. The conversation offered an unexpected sense of validation. She forced a smile, "Just out for a walk. Thinking about life changes." He nodded sagely. "Ain't it funny? Sometimes all it takes is a change of perspective. You gotta look beyond what's in front of you. You can be more than what others expect. Just be brave." His words struck her with an unexpected weight, hitting her like a tidal wave. Did he sense her inner conflict? She thanked him and walked on, each step feeling heavier and lighter all at once. When she reached the cafe, the vibrant atmosphere buzzed with ambition and energy. It was where ideas collided and futures were born. As she ordered her coffee, she overheard a conversation at a nearby table, a discussion about legal internships and the rigors of law school applications. Compelled, she approached the group, heart racing as uncertainty clawed at her. "Excuse me," she interjected, "I couldn't help but overhear. I've been contemplating law school. What's it really like?" Her sudden vulnerability surprised even herself. The laughter around the table quieted, curiosity igniting in their eyes. What would they see in her? A nursing mother seeking a dream, or someone brave enough to step into unfamiliar shoes? As the group engaged her, Kayla reveled in the sensation of belonging to something greater. Each piece of advice ignited a knowledge fire within her, illuminating facets of her ambition she had yet to explore: her passion for justice, her knack for negotiation, and a confidence deepening beneath her skin. By the time she returned home, the sun dipped low in the sky, leaving a trail of pastel colors that felt emblematic of her transformation. Could she truly harness this budding strength? What awaited her if she fully embraced this uncharted territory? As she tucked her children into bed, a soft resolve wove itself into her heart. There'd be more conversations, decisions, and motivations to confront. But she was ready to pull those threads together, weaving a vision of her future with strength and determination. In the still of the night, she envisioned herself standing in the courtroom, not just as a spectator of change but as a catalyst. The thought sent shivers down her spine. Would she find the equilibrium between her roles? The time had come to test that resolve. Tomorrow, she would make an appointment to speak with an advisor about law school. What could that conversation unveil, and would it lead her toward the path she feared yet craved? With her mind racing anew, Kayla slipped into sleep, where dreams of justice and unbridled ambition tangled together, waiting for her to take the next step. The following morning, Kayla awoke earlier than usual, with the anticipation of what lay ahead buzzing in her veins. She dressed with care, choosing a simple yet professional outfit that complemented her resolve. Standing in front of the mirror, she practiced her introduction, her voice steady yet laced with excitement. The reflection staring back at her seemed unfamiliar but exhilarating. A woman on the brink of transformation. Over breakfast, she tried to maintain her focus, urging her children to finish their cereal while reminders of their evening routines echoed through her mind. "Today, I will schedule the meeting," she whispered under her breath, letting the words anchor her before the day unfolded. As the hours ticked by, Kayla found her thoughts veering between enthusiasm and doubt. What if she wasn't really cut out for law school? Or worse, what if she failed? Pushing those intrusive thoughts aside, she reminded herself of the older man's words, the encouragement that had struck a chord deep within. "Be brave," she said silently, willing herself to be courageous in a moment that demanded it. In the early afternoon, she found herself sitting in the waiting room of the law school advisor's office, the sterile environment rife with ambition and uncertainty. The walls were adorned with posters featuring smiling graduates, each one a reflection of the dreams she now held tightly within her. Around her, students were flipping through textbooks and studying, each immersed in their own future. Then she heard her name. The advisor, a woman with a welcoming smile and an air of confidence, gestured for her to enter. The moment Kayla stepped into the office, an unexpected wave of vulnerability washed over her. The room felt intimate and intimidating. "Thank you for meeting with me," Kayla began, her voice shaking slightly. "Of course. What brings you to law school?" The advisor asked, her expression warm but probing. Kayla hesitated, the weight of her role as a mother threatening to drown her aspirations. "I've been a nurse for years, caring for others, but I want to make a bigger impact. I believe in justice and I think I can be an advocate for those who don't have a voice." Powerful motivation, the advisor said, clearly impressed, but Kayla sensed skepticism lurking beneath the surface of her encouragement. "Is it too late for me to switch careers?" The words emerged before she could reconsider, betraying the self-doubt she fought to suppress. "Not at all," the advisor replied, leaning forward. "In fact, it's refreshing. You bring a unique perspective with your nursing background. Compassion and tenacity are invaluable in law." With each moment of dialogue, Kayla felt her confidence swell. They discussed the admissions process, course load, and the aid available for student parents, but as the conversation deepened, the advisor posed a question that sent Kayla's mind reeling. "What do you see yourself specializing in?" "Maybe family law," Kayla said, her voice steadier now. "I want to help families navigate their struggles, especially those facing discrimination." As the advisor nodded, Kayla felt an exhilarating surge of purpose. She could see it now, a path where her nursing skills married with legal advocacy to uplift those silenced by systemic injustices. Would there be room for her dream to blossom alongside her responsibilities? After their meeting, Kayla stepped outside, her mind racing, an electric thrill coursing through her. Was this the beginning of her journey? Would she be bold enough to assert herself in unfamiliar environments? She envisioned her future, a potent blend of determination and compassion radiating from her every word and action. Yet beneath it all lurked an unsettling thought: how would she manage the trials ahead? As she walked back home, the realization hit her with a powerful force. This journey would not only test her commitment to education but challenge her very identity as a mother, a caregiver, and an emerging professional. The last chapter had ignited a flame within her that was only just beginning to burn, and now more than ever, she needed to confront her fears head-on. That evening, with her children tucked in bed, she felt the pull of ambition whispering for her attention. Tomorrow, she would begin preparing her application, but would she have the strength to see it through? Would she find partners in this journey, or discover new obstacles that could threaten the delicate balance she so desperately sought? As she closed her eyes, the vision of her future flickered at the edge of her consciousness, enticing yet elusive. The road ahead sparkled with potential. It was time to lean into that light, no matter the shadows that threatened to loom. Tomorrow would be the day her determination was truly tested. The morning sun crept through Kayla's window, illuminating the stack of paperwork she had organized the night before. Her heart raced as she tossed aside her initial hesitation, acknowledging it was time to break the barriers while preparing her law school application. Each document felt like a step deeper into an unknown world, yet she welcomed the challenge, her determination igniting with each stroke of her pen. Kayla resolved to assert her identity, an amalgamation of her nurturing instincts as a nurse and the budding ambition of a law aspirant. "This is who I am now," she murmured, committing that thought to memory as she began to write her personal statement. With each line, she unwrapped the layers of her life experiences, revealing hidden strengths she had long buried beneath obligations and self-doubt. Writing about her journey in nursing, she highlighted moments when her advocacy had clearly mattered. The images flashed in her mind, comforting a patient through a difficult diagnosis, advocating for those who couldn't vocalize their needs. She found herself recognizing the fierce tenacity that had already defined her career. What if she channeled that same energy into law? the deeper she dug into her narrative, the more she realized, her experience was not a limitation, but an asset. By intertwining her nursing background with her legal aspirations, she could create a unique voice in a field typically dominated by traditional perspectives. In that realization, she felt a surge not just of hope but of purpose. "I will make a difference," she affirmed, and at that moment, the shadows of insecurity began to recede. Days turned into weeks as Kayla meticulously crafted each component of her application. Every late night found her at the kitchen table, surrounded by textbooks and legal terminology, fueled by coffee and tenacity. Yet, just as she was gaining momentum, a familiar wave of doubt crashed over her during one particularly quiet evening. "They'll see me as just a nurse," she whispered into the emptiness. "They won't take me seriously." But what she didn't know was that this very doubt would serve as a crucible for transformation. Each moment spent oscillating between fear and ambition pushed her to refine her narrative. She sought input from fellow applicants, reaching out to those she met in study groups. The camaraderie among these diverse individuals ignited something powerful within her, an unshakable conviction that she not only belonged there but could thrive. Her peers not only recognized her strengths but celebrated them, aware of the value of her unique perspective. In earnest discussions of how law intersected with healthcare and social justice, Kayla found her voice growing bolder. "I'm not just a mother or a nurse. I'm an advocate," she would assert. With that declaration, she began to confront her identity as a multifaceted individual rather than a tethered caregiver. As her application reached completion, Kayla knew the true test lay ahead. She scheduled a practice interview with the advisor she had met weeks ago, sensing her direction solidifying yet apprehension clawing at her insides. What if she stumbled over her words? What if they saw through her aspirations as hollow? But that morning, she reminded herself of the warrior she had grown to be. She dressed meticulously, as she had before the important meeting with the advisor, embracing the metamorphosis she was undergoing. "I won't hide from the truth of who I am," she resolved, holding on to that thought tightly. The day of the practice interview arrived, and as she walked into the sunlit building, Kayla couldn't shake the feeling that this was no longer merely an exercise but a glimpse into the future she had yearned for. She pushed open the door, ready to confront both her fear and her dreams head-on. Little did she know, the encounter would reveal far more than just her readiness for law school. The very questions posed by the advisor would lay bare truths about her capabilities that she hadn't yet fully acknowledged. It was in that moment she would question everything about her readiness and worthiness. Was she truly ready to face her aspirations, or were her fears still lurking, waiting for the right moment to challenge her resolve? Kayla took a deep breath before stepping inside the small, well-lit conference room. The polished wooden table stretched before her, reflecting the soft light of the overhead fixtures. As she settled into her seat, the initial rush of adrenaline began to subside, replaced by a tinge of curiosity. What would the advisor see that she herself had not yet discovered? "Kayla, right?" The advisor's voice was warm yet authoritative, projecting both support and expectation. He shuffled some papers, making notes in the margins as he looked her over. She could feel the weight of his gaze, searching for confidence, for potential. "Yes," she responded, hoping her voice betrayed none of the anxiety bubbling beneath the surface. She had come so far, yet here she sat, grappling with a mix of vulnerability and ambition. "Tell me about your nursing career," he prompted, leaning back slightly, an inviting gesture that offered no judgment. And just like that, Kayla was pulled back into the realm of her past, where she had thrived despite challenges. The words flowed as she shared her experiences, the triumphs and the struggles. "I didn't just care for patients, I advocated for them, sometimes fighting against systemic barriers to ensure they received the care they deserved." As she spoke, she witnessed a subtle shift in the advisor's demeanor. He stopped scribbling and leaned in, the interest in his eyes growing palpable. "You sound passionate about advocacy," he noted. "What made you want to shift into law?" At that moment, a flicker of doubt ignited within her. Did she truly belong in this world? Her voice stuttered for a moment, but she quickly gripped her resolve. Because I believe every person deserves a voice, especially those who feel powerless. I want to empower them in a legal context. Powerful, he replied, nodding. But do you think your nursing background sometimes makes you doubt your capacity to be taken seriously? The question hung heavily in the air, prompting her to confront the raw edge of her insecurity. Yes, she admitted, feeling a wave of warmth collect in her cheeks. I worry they'll only see a nurse, not someone ready to enter the legal arena. He studied her, the tension palpable, before responding, "You're not just a nurse, Kayla. Your experiences provide valuable insights into health law, a crucial intersection in our society today. But you must embrace that wholeheartedly. You're standing at the forefront of transformative change." She felt something shift inside her, an affinity for the possibility that he was right. What if she leveraged her experiences, building a bridge between healthcare and the law? A newfound determination began to stabilize her racing heart, but she remained acutely aware that this was merely the beginning. Then how do I embrace that identity? She asked, her voice steadier as she leaned toward him, hungry for guidance. Own your narrative. Find ways to articulate how your past has equipped you for the challenges ahead. Show them you're not just a nurse, you're an advocate with unique perspectives that can influence the legal field. The advisor's words settled around her like a protective cloak, dispelling some of the doubts that had consistently taunted her. She was a warrior, not only for her patients but also for her aspirations. It was about time she acknowledged her power and shared it with the world. As the interview concluded, Kayla exited the room, her body thrumming with a sense of achievement. The questions had urged her to confront her truths, her identity, her fears, and the unique expertise she possessed. In that moment, she envisioned a future where she wasn't just part of the system but actively reshaping it from within. But even as her confidence surged, a deeper tension surfaced. What challenges would await her as she transitioned fully from nursing to law? Little did she know that the path would demand far more than she had initially anticipated, and her personal battles were just beginning to unfold. As she stepped out of the building, her phone buzzed in her pocket. An email notification flashed on the screen, a callback for an internship opportunity that promised to challenge everything she thought she knew about the legal profession. Could this be her first test of resilience? Kayla's heart raced as she exited the towering law building. The thrill of the advisor's encouragement felt like a beacon guiding her into the unknown. Yet, the callback email loomed in her mind as a reminder of the imminent challenges that awaited her. She paused on the bustling sidewalk, surrounded by the cacophony of city life. The air, once invigorating, now felt thick with the weight of uncertainty. Would this internship truly be her launchpad, or would it magnify her insecurities tenfold? With the email still vibrating through her fingers, she stepped into a nearby cafe. Reserved and ambitious, she found a small table in the corner, the noise of the crowd fading as she focused on the screen. The subject line "internship callback" echoed in her thoughts, making her pulse quicken. She opened it with a careful attention, scanning the details of an opportunity that could reshape her trajectory. The firm prioritized candidates with diverse backgrounds and perspectives, promising that her previous experience could offer valuable insights. A flicker of hope ignited within her. But could she navigate a world traditionally dominated by those with conventional legal backgrounds? The looming fear of inadequacy threatened to engulf her, even as she recalled the advisor's affirmation of her identity as a bridge between healthcare and law. Her coffee arrived, and she distractedly took a sip, channeling her frustration into a mental rehearsal of her potential responses. How could she highlight her nursing background while avoiding the label of just a nurse? She needed to articulate her transition convincingly, framing it as an evolution rather than a departure. In a burst of clarity, she pulled out a notebook she always kept with her. Each entry had been a reflection of personal experiences, lessons learned, and goals set, a true testament to her evolution. Page after page bore witness to her growth, showcasing moments of ardent advocacy and relentless perseverance. As she flipped through, she felt a recognition of her own narrative forming, interwoven with the tapestry of her nursing career. Suddenly, a figure at the front of the cafe caught her attention. A man, tall and sharply dressed, scanned the room with an air of authority. He began to make his way toward her. Her heart raced again, a mix of anticipation and self-consciousness. What if this was an omen related to the internship? Could this stranger be a part of her evolving journey? "Excuse me," he said, his voice confident as he approached her table. "I couldn't help but notice you seem deep in thought. I'm looking for a quiet spot to gather my thoughts before a meeting. Would you mind if I joined you?" Kayla hesitated, weighing the pros and cons of inviting an unknown element into her carefully constructed moment of self-reflection. Yet, she recalled that the path to growth often lay in the unexpected. "Of course," she replied, her voice more composed than she felt. As he settled in, curiosity swelled inside her. She introduced herself, her ambition bubbling beneath the surface as he responded with his name, Harrison, a partner at a renowned law firm. Their ensuing conversation sparked an unexpected synergy. Kayla found herself discussing her aspirations, her journey from nursing to law, and the desire to advocate for those whose voices remained unheard. "You have a fascinating perspective," he noted, genuinely intrigued. "I believe we need more advocates like you in our field. Tell me more about your vision." The once familiar insecurities began to dissolve, replaced by the intoxicating sensation of being understood. Each word exchanged was a validation of her ambition. As they spoke, Kayla realized that every interaction was crucial in carving her identity as not just a nurse or a law aspirant, but a powerful advocate who could influence the legal landscape. The conversation began to shift her focus from fear to possibility, setting the stage for her future, but just as she felt a surge of confidence flowing through her, Harrison dropped a bombshell. "What if I told you that your nursing background could land you a role in one of the most transformative health law cases currently unfolding?" The words hung in the air, electrifying everything around her and propelling her forward into a reality where her past skills might be the very key to her success. Would she be ready to step up for this unexpected opportunity, blazing a trail between two worlds? Kayla's heart raced once more as she prepared for the challenges that could arise, each moment emerging as a test of her resolve. Little did she know, this encounter was just the beginning of a far more complex journey. Would she find enough courage to transform this intriguing possibility into her reality? Kayla's mind buzzed with possibilities as she absorbed Harrison's words. The weight of his proposition hovered above her like an impending storm, electrifying yet terrifying. For a moment, she forgot her surroundings, enveloped by the tantalizing blend of doubt and keen anticipation. Could she really step into a realm where her nursing experience was not a hindrance but an asset? "Tell me more," she urged, channeling her rapid heartbeat into a palpable curiosity. Harrison leaned closer, his voice lowering, as if imparting a secret. "There's a case involving health regulations that's not only legally complex but also layered with ethical dilemmas. We're looking for someone who understands the intricacies of healthcare. Your nursing background gives you a perspective we sorely need." With each detail he shared, Kayla could feel the lines of her past and future converge, each breath a thread connecting her years in nursing to the electrifying world of law. Yet, sharp pangs of self-doubt crept in. "What if I fail?" she thought, envisioning herself standing before a panel of lawyers, struggling to defend a position she hardly felt qualified to hold. Harrison must have sensed her hesitation. "Every expertise comes with its learning curve," he insisted. "What's important is your willingness to take on challenges. You've spent years advocating for patients. That kind of dedication doesn't disappear when you change fields. It evolves." Dedication. The word resonated deep within her, echoing her years of service in intensive care, where she had often fought for her patients' needs and for acknowledgement that their voices mattered. Perhaps this new path could harness that same spirit. "Why are you so invested in this?" she asked, realizing it was a bold question. An unexpected vulnerability lingered under the surface, and she wanted to know the man before her, the mentor whose insight seemed to melt her apprehensions. Harrison paused, his gaze unwavering. "I've seen firsthand how healthcare can fail those who need it most. I want to change that. And it takes voices like yours to bridge the gap." The way he articulated his mission reignited something in Kayla, a charge of ambition she had almost snuffed out. She could not ignore the flicker of purpose igniting within. She wanted to shape the conversation around health law, not just participate in it. "Okay," she said, her voice steady, as if she had finally claimed her agency. "If I'm going to commit to this opportunity, I need to prepare myself, study the nuances of this case, understand the legal framework, and amplify my advocacy skills." Harrison smiled, a mixture of admiration and encouragement. "That's the spirit. I can connect you with resources and even introduce you to some of the other associates who specialize in health law. They'll provide you the support you need to hit the ground running." The possibility of collaboration sent shivers down her spine. But then, reality struck forth like a gust of early morning air. "Wait, they see my background is lacking. I'm not the typical candidate for health law. What if I don't fit in?" "That's the point," he replied, confidence etched across his features. "Legal diversity isn't just about numbers, it's about perspective. You'll be the eyes and ears that understand healthcare realities. They'll learn from you, just as you will learn from them." Her heart raced faster as his words sank in. This path was fraught with challenges, but it was also lined with the potential to reshape narratives. A battle of her resolve began to brew inside her. Would she dare confront her fears, or would she allow her insecurities to dictate her reality? As she left the cafe, her thoughts were a swirl of strategies, resources, and the burgeoning ambition that had ignited within her. She looked up at the fading sun touching the skyline. It was time to assert herself. She would need to gather more than just reading material, she would need to cultivate the very essence of her new identity. But just before she turned the corner, her phone buzzed ominously. An email alert flashed. Across her screen, a message from the law firm that could change everything. Would it affirm her pursuing this new path, or would it plunge her back into doubt? Kayla's breath caught in her throat as she prepared to confront whatever awaited her. The next chapter of her journey was about to unfold, and she needed to decide if she would embrace the challenge or retreat into her fears. Kayla stared at her phone, a mixture of anxiety and hope swirling within her, as she opened the email with a trembling finger. The screen lit her face in the dimming light, her heart pounding as she read the subject line, "Invitation for preliminary interview." The words hit her like a rush of cold air, a fleeting realization that she was on the cusp of something monumental. The more she read, the deeper the sense of disbelief settled in. This wasn't merely an interview. It was a chance to join a team focused on a critical case that could potentially overhaul existing healthcare regulations. The implications of this opportunity washed over her with both exhilaration and a torrent of self-doubt. Was she truly equipped to contribute at this level? Kayla took a deep breath and closed her eyes, letting the evening sounds of the city wash over her. The distant honking of cars, the murmur of conversations, and the footsteps of passers-by enveloped her, each sound pulling her back to the reality she had momentarily escaped. She was at a crossroads, a point of decision that stretched her resolve. Could she advocate for change within the law, using the very experiences that had shaped her nursing career? Questions bombarded her mind, merging with her earlier fears. What if the lawyers expected her to already know legal jargon, or worse, what if they thought her nursing background rendered her naive? Unplugged from her insecurities, Kayla began walking again, her thoughts igniting into a focused intensity. She recalled Harrison's words about perspective informed by experience. She envisioned herself in the firm, confident yet humble, mapping out how her nursing skills, her patient advocacy, her grounded understanding of medical complexities could bridge a critical gap in discussions of policy change. As she weaved through the bustling streets, she mentally constructed a plan. She would need to immerse herself in the case, gather literature on health law, perhaps even take online courses to bolster her understanding of legal frameworks. But knowledge was only part of her preparation. She would also have to hone the skill of advocacy in a legal context, a task that required more than mere comprehension of laws. It demanded eloquence, persuasion, and an unwavering passion for justice. Why not start with what you already know? She mused aloud, recalling the countless patients she had fought for during her nursing days. Each one had undermined her sometimes by their misconceptions about healthcare, and through them, she had learned to translate complex medical scenarios into relatable stories. That was her strength, her ability to communicate effectively. As she unlocked her apartment door, a surge of determination flooded her veins. She would not back away. She would study, practice, and prepare, armed with not only nursing knowledge but also her fresh aspirations. The potential to articulate patients' needs through a legal lens invigorated her focus. Sitting at her kitchen table, Kayla opened her laptop, the quiet hum of her apartment punctuated by the rhythmic tapping of keys. She began drafting a list of resources, looking up books on health law, and searching for articles on recent cases that had changed industry standards. With each entry, her confidence solidified, the unfamiliar felt less daunting. A sudden ping interrupted her thoughts. Another email. Her heart raced. It was from a former nursing colleague, someone who specialized in policy advocacy. As she read through the message, a sense of relief washed over her. They were embarking on a collaborative project and needed help navigating the health regulations surrounding a new initiative, an initiative that might align perfectly with the very case she was now poised to be a part of. Timing is everything, Kayla whispered to herself, understanding that this serendipitous connection could provide her a springboard into the legal discussions ahead. It felt as if every past moment had spiraled into this single opportunity. But as the glow of her laptop illuminated her determination, a shadow loomed over her thoughts. The realization hit her that not everyone would welcome her insight. There would be skepticism about her qualifications, resistance from those who viewed her non-traditional path as an affront to their expertise. Would she have the resilience to stand firm amidst the pushback? Kayla felt a wave of uncertainty press down, but she quickly realized this was not merely a challenge, it was her crucible, a test of her conviction and adaptability. With newfound clarity, she typed out a response to her colleague, practically vibrating with excitement, her commitment solidifying with every keystroke. Yet, even as she crafted her way forward, a haunting question lingered in the back of her mind. What would she do when that inevitable confrontation came, when she would have to prove herself against the skepticism of others? The thought echoed as she hit send, leaving her with a cascade of mixed emotions. The road to her new identity lay ahead, fraught with challenges, waiting for her to step up, to claim the role she was destined for. And as she contemplated the uncertainties that remained, a new email notification chimed again, promising yet another twist in her journey. Could it be another sign, or the beginning of her potential unraveling? The suspense thickened, and she knew she would soon have to face whatever lay ahead with courage and resolve. Kayla stood before the imposing law firm, her heart pounding in rhythm with the thrumming city outside. The journey from that chaotic emergency room to this moment felt surreal. It was a path paved with self-doubt, yet illuminated by tenacity and a burgeoning belief in her potential. Today was the day she would step into the world she once deemed unattainable. As she wrung her hands while waiting to be called in for the preliminary interview, she reflected on how far she had come. The nagging voice of insecurity that used to plague her mind had retreated into the background, replaced by a fierce determination to succeed. She had spent hours preparing, not just studying legal principles but redefining herself. She was no longer merely a nurse, she was an aspiring advocate prepared to bridge the gap between healthcare and law. Kayla Thompson. The receptionist's voice broke through her thoughts, calling her name in a tone that seemed to echo in the expansive reception area. She straightened, her posture reflecting a mix of nervousness and resolve, and headed towards the meeting room, each step a testament to her evolution. Inside the interview room, the panel consisted of seasoned attorneys, their eyes scanning her with curiosity and consideration. The atmosphere was professional yet charged, and as she took her seat, the air crackled with expectation. "Tell us why you're here today, Kayla," one of the attorneys prompted, a shrewd expression on his face. This was her moment. Kayla felt an urge to recount her journey, the sacrifices, the dreams, and the faith that had driven her. "I believe I can impact lives, not only through compassionate care but through legal advocacy," she began, her voice steady and resonant. "Years as a nurse taught me that understanding healthcare from a patient's perspective is critical for effective policy change. My ambition is to navigate the complexities of health law while ensuring every voice matters." Her words hung in the air, met with probing glances that felt both intimidating and invigorating. She could sense their interest, the same way she once felt when advocating for a patient's care. "Can you describe how your nursing background prepares you for a role in health law?" another panelist asked, leaning forward. A surge of clarity washed over her. "As a nurse, I learned to advocate tirelessly for my patients, often amidst systemic barriers. I negotiated care strategies and interpreted medical complexities for families. Each experience molded my determination and built a foundation of patient advocacy I now seek to amplify through legal frameworks." She could feel the momentum building, her confidence fueling her narrative. She spoke passionately, weaving in personal anecdotes that illustrated her journey. The resounding silence confirmed that her story was resonating, transforming their scrutiny into curiosity. As the interview unfolded, Kayla drew strength from her past experiences, intertwining them with her aspirations. She no longer feared being seen just as the nurse, she was an advocate equipped with the power of insight, ready to engage in meaningful discussions that could alter lives. After the interview concluded, the panel exchanged glances, exchanging nods of approval. Her heart raced with a combination of exhilaration and relief. The journey to this developmental moment had required meticulous reflection and unfurling of her authentic self, but she had proven to herself that she belonged here at this pivotal intersection between healthcare and law. Walking out of the building, Kayla felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Regardless of the outcome, she had laid a foundation of resilience, determination, and competence that would carry her forward in any direction life tossed her way. No longer burdened by the weight of doubt, the world felt open and full of possibilities. In the following days, the law firm reached out, offering her the internship she had dreamed of, right alongside Harrison, who became not only her mentor but a genuine supporter of her vision. With the realization of her new role, Kayla embraced her multifaceted identity fully: a mother, a nurse, and now, an advocate in LAW. As she stood before her children one evening, unfolding her aspirations, she felt empowered not just to dream, but to inspire them to chase their own ambitions with tenacity. Surrounded by stacks of books and her legal notes, they saw a version of their mother that transcended the limitations of her past. Kayla had conquered her fears, proven her strength, and embraced her identity as a formidable advocate for change. She could now never look back, each step forward only further defined by an innate sense of purpose and accomplishment. This was her metamorphosis. She had transformed doubt into strength, and with solid confidence and established competence, Kayla was ready to thrive in her new path. You need to subscribe now to witness more incredible stories of personal transformation like Kayla's. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help us reach individuals who can relate to Kayla's journey. Comment below with your reactions and theories on what's next for her. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring conclusion.